Hey guys, Ginger on Wheels here. Thanks for stopping by the channel, where today we're gonna open up the brand new eMove RoadRunner Pro from Voro Motors. This is their brand new in-house designed mini e-bike. It's got a 50 mile per hour top speed and an estimated 50-mile range. I'm really excited to get this thing out of the box, so let's roll the intro and then we'll go over some of the technical specs and check this thing out up close. Okay, step one, acquire giant knife. All right, let's open this thing up. It does arrive on a pallet, just FYI, and you need to be home to sign for delivery, which is great. I don't like my e-bikes getting stolen from out front. Very interesting smell. It smells like something burning. All right, so some foam packaging on top to be expected. Nice little foam cutout for the headlight here. I literally have no idea how I'm gonna get this out. I think if I cut the bottom, I can lift the box up and over. Okay, I opened the top and then I went around the bottom and cut the perimeter of the bottom with the box cutter. And we can take that off. And hopefully we can take this off. Yeah. This is some of the thickest cardboard I've ever seen. This is corrugated, like probably ½ inch thick. There it is, the eMove RoadRunner Pro. Uh-oh, I knocked over my cat food. All right, so this is it. Once you take the outer shell of the box off, this is what it looks like. We have some handlebars here. Looks like they are zip tied to the frame. Cut that off there. Oh, there's another one. All right, some foamies over here to protect the handlebars. No instruction manual. Where's the manual? Ah, hidden down below, there are some boxes. It comes with some parts here, some tools it looks like. Ah, a stem tube extension piece. I'm guessing these are the foot pegs. There's 2 foot pegs in here. They're not really pegs, they're like little pedals. And then your standard multi-tool. Uh-oh, be careful. I just chucked this piece of foam across the room and these 2 nuts came out. So hopefully the camera can focus on that, but there's 2 nuts. Make sure you don't lose these. I'm not sure what they're for yet, but if you lose them, you'll probably be sorry later. So this is the box for our charger here. Let's check out the charger specs. It's got an XLR connection. This is the first I've ever seen on any gadgets I've owned. I know these are rated for pretty high amp output, so I'm curious what this thing actually outputs. Let's check it out. That's the charger specs. Looks like 67 volt output with 3.5 amps. So with a 30 amp hour battery, if we're inputting 3 amps or 3.5 amps, this thing's gonna take around 8 to 10 hours to charge. So they include this stem tube piece, and I assume it's got these different spacers so you can space the height of the handlebars to your liking. But we're gonna have to figure out how to put this on. It's got the handlebars, which are obviously disconnected right now. I assume they're gonna be mounted up about this high. Let's get the grip covers off here. Little foam on the grips. Oh, cool. What do the grips say? I think that's supposed to say domino grips. This is really weird. This whole bike and the box kind of smells like burnt metal or burnt plastic or something. I wonder if there was some sort of container fire that this thing was in. Nothing's melted, nothing's on fire, but it smells like it was at one point. All right, so here it is up close. This is the eMove RoadRunner Pro. You can see it's got the same motorcycle style suspension that we see on the Cabo Wolf lineup, which is right over here. That dual front oil-filled suspension. Nice big tires, 14 inch by 2.75 inch wide, I believe. And check out that tread. That's pretty cool tread. Very sleek design, nice build. I'm digging the welds. High quality welds right there. Check it out, they got VM for Voro Motors cut out in the metal there, that's cool. This is our rear suspension. One of the great things about this scooter is it's completely been redesigned as far as the wheels go for flats when you have to change your tire. It's a tubeless tire, but it's also split rim. And before, nothing else has been able to do that because when you have a split rim, you have a little crease or a crack in the middle of the rim. And if you don't have a tube in the tire, the air will just leak out. But with Voro Motors' new design for this tire, it can be split rim and tubeless at the same time. So it's been designed around ease of use for when you do have to do maintenance on it and change your tires. That's one of the great things about this scooter. I'm not sure whether I should call it a scooter or an e-bike. I guess it depends who you ask, huh? If you look up in the seat there is some exposed wiring right here. What's this? Oh, that's the battery connection. So the controller is up underneath the seat. I'm gonna have to pop the seat off and we'll check out the controller. Right, so on the bottom of the RoadRunner Pro, there are 4 screws, and these are the screws that hold the seat on. And once you take that off, you'll notice this cover on the top, and you wanna take these 4 bolts off, or these 4 little nuts off the top. You'll see them on top of here. There's 2 stacked and then 2 stacked. It will reveal the electrical component box. This is the thing you sit on underneath your butt. You can see gimbal just ran out of batteries. That's excellent. So you'll see here, this is the electrical components box. We have got our 2 controllers here. There's 1 and 1. Phase wires are right here, 1, 2, 3. And then the other ones are over here, 1, 2, 3. These are our battery plugs for each controller. One's underneath there, one is right here. This guy right here, I'm not entirely sure what, maybe that's the DC step down, but this was all just jammed in like that underneath that metal cover. But this is what it looks like underneath. If you ever need to do any work, these wires right here were already cut. Yeah, that is really weird. This was disconnected. Not sure what that does. It's got a plug on it, so it's interesting. But I'm not gonna get too far into this because I do want the scooter to work for my test rides. I don't want to break anything that I have to get support to fix. But that is what it looks like on the inside of the bike. Big, huge motorcycle style headlight right here. A bracket right here with this little relay for the horn, which means I might be lucky. I might get to install this air horn on there. That would be cool. Specs for the wattage of the motors. They are a 60 volt, 2000 watt peak for what it's worth. The controllers, this thing has dual 45 amp sine wave controllers, which I believe is just as powerful as the Wolf King, except the Wolf King obviously isn't sine wave. The GT Pro is, but that has 50 amp controllers, which explains the slightly higher average top speed. The front suspension, I do not believe is adjustable. This looks like a hermetically sealed suspension, so don't take this apart, try to add oil to it or do anything like that. If you got leaky suspension, which you shouldn't, that's definitely a warranty claim. Looks like they did a pretty good job sealing it up here, so hopefully no crud gets in there. That's our rear suspension right there. I have no idea on the specs of that suspension, but let's measure it eye to eye.
Okay, so I should mention that the stock suspension is 290 millimeters from eye to eye, but if I had to guess, the spring tension is about 150 pounds per spring, or 300 total. It was way too soft for me. Even off curbs, I was bottoming it out, and it made it feel really dangerous at high speed. So I upgraded the suspension to 320 millimeter. You can see it right here, and it functions a lot better. It's about $70 on Amazon, and I'll link those in the description.
This huge cable right here, which is massive. So to plug the battery into the controllers, which are under the seat, you just pop this in right there. I'm not gonna do that yet though. Gotta figure out how to charge it first. Where's the charging port? In the bottom area right there, we've got a little pin, and you can pull this pin out and lift up the latch, and I think that allows you to remove the battery. Ah, I found the charge port right there. This is where we're gonna plug our XLR connection into, right there, and then it looks like it has a key. Pretty cool. It comes with 2 keys actually. So you have to turn the key on, plug the ignition in on the other side, and make sure your battery's charged obviously, and then it'll turn on. It looks like the only thing that you actually have to do once you get the bike is install the handlebars with the stem riser, and then put the little foot pegs on. Comes more or less pre-assembled. Stinks to be Voro Motors, because I'm sure they pay an arm and a leg and a half for shipping, but it's awesome for you because it's mostly put together. So those are the Domino grips I was telling you about. I think that says Domino anyways. I'm going to put the handlebars and the pegs on and get rid of that little box thingy on the bottom, and then I'll be back. All right, lift the thing up, you say. Okay, so I'm gonna lift it up by this rear piece. It feels like there's a piece of the metal frame back there, so I think I'll be all right to do that. And I'm gonna lift it from right here. Oh, wow, it's heavy. That's a big boy. The front is much heavier than the back. It doesn't feel very evenly weighted. Important to know if you wanna jump the thing. I'll have to show you guys the kickstand in a minute because it's freaking sweet. And this is the bottom piece. This is actual wood. Okay, so first I'm going to put on the foot pegs because that's easiest. That sounds easier anyways. Okay, so this is the foot peg. This is what it looks like. It's got 2 little screws on the back. I already took one off. But you can unscrew these. And then this little plate comes off the back of the pedal here. And that allows you to pop it down over the top of this little nut. And then I'm gonna tighten this nut down and put that plate back on. And that's gonna hold our foot pegs on. And then they fold up and down like this. So, okay. Makes the scooter a little narrower when you're parking it or leaning it up against the wall or something. So we'll take our little included 17 mil wrench, and I am hoping that tightens this. It does. I got the right foot peg on, and I just did a video call with Voro Motors. They've got great customer support, and they reassured me that I did do it correctly, but I want to show you how to do it because I was kind of confused at first. You slide the foot peg on through the top, tighten this bolt down, or the nut, onto this screw here, just like that. Use the included wrench to make sure that that is tight. All right, that feels pretty tight. I don't want to go too much. You get this little bracket that the foot plate comes with, or the foot peg. It goes on the top of the nut like this. So it feels like it's not very sturdy or secure in there, but that's how it goes. You put this little bracket on top of the nut, and then you can use the included multi-tool, but it's a lot easier if you have your own set of Allen wrenches to do this. You put the little socket, you put the included socket cap screw into the hole on top of the bracket here, just like this. And you want to make sure that bracket stays on top of the nut, so there's a little gap right there. So before you tighten this one down, you got to get the other one screwed on too. And then you want to go back and forth and slowly tighten these two screws up until they're nice and tight. Suggestion to Voro Motors, make this plate out of steel instead of aluminum, because as I'm tightening these down, like hand tight, I'm noticing that the little plate right here on the top is actually bending a little bit. So that could be made out of a stronger metal. Not sure how much that'll actually matter. Always trying to do my best to give suggestions. So you can see it's a little bit bent right now, but that just means it's extra tight. So that's how the foot plates, or the foot pegs, are installed. And you can see once it's all together, that's what it looks like. The foot peg folds up and down like that. You got your bracket on top here, and then the nut is creating this little gap here, and the two socket cap screws are holding that plate on top. All right, now the last thing that we have to do is install the handlebars onto the top here. It comes with this piece right here, and then there are 5 spacers. And you can add or remove these spacers as you please to adjust the height of the handlebar. I'm a pretty tall guy, so I think I'm gonna use most of the spacers. And I kinda like the silver accent these spacers have on there. You wanna loosen the 2 screws on the bottom of here, slide this down into there. We're gonna take this piece all the way out. And then you take your handlebars and you just slide them on top of that right there. Okay, so I have straightened my front tire so that it's as straight as I can get it with the frame. Tighten these 2 screws down here towards the back. Make sure this stem piece is nice and secure on there. I've got all my spacers. I used a big spacer, 2 medium-sized spacers here, and then slid the handlebars on. And then there is a tiny spacer on the top, followed by this little piece. And this long screw right here, you have to tighten all the way down. Feels like there's a million threads in there, so just keep screwing. For the record, these are size 4 hex wrenches, and these are size 5 for these 3. So I'm gonna get my handlebars straight. I'm turning my bars now, but the tire isn't turning. That's because these screws aren't tight yet. So I'm gonna straighten out, line my handlebars up with the front tire here, and then just tighten these 2 screws. And you do wanna make sure these are pretty tight. All of these right here, these 5. If these come loose while you're riding, then you'll turn the bars and the front tire won't turn with you, and that you will fall off. And you want to make sure that one's nice and tight as well. Okay, that one's cranked. Let's go through and make sure these are all really tight. One last time. Cool, and we have steering. Now our stem tube's all set up. Last thing to do, you'll see the bars still move like this. I'm gonna get the bars so that the flares are going up, and then you wanna tighten these 4 screws that hold, there's like a clamp holding the bars to the actual stem piece. You wanna tighten these 4 screws right there. Okay, we're sitting on the scooter now from a rider point of view. That's the top of the bars there, and you'll notice that the brake lever here, the throttle assembly, the display, and the other brake lever, I'm assuming, are all loose. You need to go through and get your size 4 and just tighten up all the screws. Make sure these are placed as you want them when you're riding. I like to have my brake calipers pretty low, like down here. So I'm gonna push these down and then tighten everything all into place. The 2 brake levers and the display. I'm obviously gonna have my display like this. And once I get that all tightened up, I will be back. Next step, now that I assume the bike is fully put together, something you need to do with every PEV, get some Allen wrenches, go through the entire bike, every single bolt, and make sure that they're all tight, because you are risking your life by riding this thing around at 50 miles an hour, there's no doubt. So I'm gonna go through the whole thing and just tighten down every single screw I can find. So I've got this side done. I'll flip it over and do the other side. I won't show you that, but you should do it. All right, now that we have the bike fully set up, I guess I'll just show you what it looks like. So those are our domino grips. You can see right here, we have a button for the headlight, turn signals, and horn. This is our main power, I guess, control panel where all the buttons are. To turn the bike on, so on the side of the battery here, you'll see this huge plug coming out of the controller underneath the seat. So here you can see it a little better. This is the hatch door on the side of the battery, and this is that huge wire coming out of the battery compartment. You want to make sure that battery wire is plugged into the side of the battery before you do anything. To turn the bike on, you have to have the keys in, and then you turn the keys to the on position. There's a lock mode, there's an off mode, and then there's an on mode. So you want to make sure the key is in the on position. Now once you have the key in the on position and you have the giant plug plugged in, you want to come to the top of the scooter and hold the power button, and you'll notice the screen light up and it says Voro Motors. Looks pretty cool. That's what the display looks like. Very, very intricate and accurate. I like it a lot. I like the cable cover that they have. Around the outsides of the cable, there's like a waterproof / protective sheathing. So it's gonna be a little harder than average to damage the cables. These brake levers, I believe these are Zoom brakes. They're rebranded as Voro Motors brakes. But they feel nice. They feel fully hydraulic, front and rear. And this grip is not a grip at all. Well, kind of. This is our throttle. It's a twist throttle. You can see the tires spin out on my rear floor there. And that's a mark I'm gonna have to clean up later. One thing I noticed about this throttle, it's a twist throttle, but it's cable actuated. There's an actual cable that runs through here to the bottom of the seat. If you notice on the bottom of the seat there, when you pull the throttle, there's the cable pulls, and it actually twists this piece here underneath the seat. So it's a mixture of mechanical and electrical actuation there. Very interesting. One thing I'm not a huge fan of is, you'll notice under there's a bunch of exposed wires. They are insulated, and the parts that could potentially get exposed to water are wrapped in a protective sheeting. But in general, I'm just not a fan of exposed wires. I wish they would have tried to do a better job of wrapping this up. And I can see a little XT connector on the side there too. I just like to have all my critical components wrapped or covered if possible. So hopefully they can do some refinement there, fix that. Not sure that it's necessary, but it would just look better if anything else. So the motorcycle style suspension there, it looks really nice, and I don't think I can bottom it out by just standing on the bike and pushing down. But you can hear that, I hope. One of the things I really don't like is there's no rebound adjustment on the suspension. So when it pops back into place, it actually is a metal on metal clanking sound. Listen. And I really am not a huge fan of that. You can hear the motor wire here, that's clanking on the frame, and there's the brake line clanks on the front fender. That's just the nature of this beast, I guess. Two cables clanking on the fender, and then you can hear the suspension coming back to full. There needs to be like a little rubber bushing on the inside of the suspension there, I would imagine, to make that sound go away. Front suspension could be improved. Yeah, there's really not enough slack in the brake line over here to fix that. That's just always gonna be clanking away. Well, that's the way it is. And there you can see the rear suspension. When I sit on it, there's about that much sag. I'm 220 pounds. This is with all my weight on the back there. I can definitely bottom out the rear. Yep, doesn't have the same clunking sound as the front suspension, but it's got some creaking, and I can bottom it out. Imagine if you're between like 150, 180 pounds, that won't be an issue. Sounds like a mixture of hydraulic and spring. Could be wrong though, but that's what it sounds like. To get the battery out, you want to unplug the monster wire first. Don't forget to do that. You want to take the key out. You have to put it in the off position, then pull the key out. And then you'll notice right here, there's a little pin. You have to pull this pin and then lift the cover, and then the battery will come sliding out. It's a pretty heavy battery though. I don't recommend doing that unless you really need to lift the bike like into a car or something. And this plate should lock into place when that thing is secure. All right, so one of the last things I'm gonna do is show off the lights. Let's see what the headlight looks like. Oop, got some messages. Probably one of you DMing me on Instagram. All right, so the display is on. I'm gonna push the little light button here. Wow. So on the Wolf models, on the scooters I've got over here, you can turn the headlight on, turn it off, and you turn it on again and it'll be on low mode. You turn it off and you turn it on again and it'll be on strobe mode. But you notice on this, it's just on and off. Does it have blinkers in the front? Negative. My right blinker is on, my left blinker is on. We got nothing. So just the headlight in the front there, and that's probably more than you need. All right, so zoomed in there on this piece, or the rear, this is our brake light. I assumed this lit up, but I guess that's just a reflector. So that's the brake light there. And if you turn on the left turn signal, you get that. If you turn on the right turn signal, you get that. And if you turn on them both, it actually turns into sort of like a hazard thing. This does look like it's blacked out though, like the blinkers on the Wolf King GT. I wish they'd made this clear. It would make it much brighter. And the color is coming off as kind of an orange color because of the tint. Not sure why they keep doing that. I wish they wouldn't, but I guess it looks a little cooler. Pretty hard to see the brake light even in my dimly lit room here. Can't imagine you'd see that outside during the day at all. Horn, I imagine it's the same horn as the GT. Yep, same little car / motorcycle style horn. Okay, now I'm gonna attempt to do something on the channel that we haven't done before, but I feel like we should have been doing it this whole time. I'm gonna measure with a lux meter exactly how bright and dark the headlights are. So let me show you this little gadget here. You can see we got a reading of 0. If I hold the little light meter up into the light, you can see now it's reading 1. And if I cover it with my finger, it holds 0. So I'm gonna tell you what the reading says when I'm shining it right, or when I'm holding the sensor right in front of the RoadRunner Pro headlight. We're gonna see exactly how bright this thing is. And we're gonna be doing it from a distance of 12 inches. All right, so 12 inches, pretty much right to the end of the front tire there. And the lux meter is showing about, looks like 960 at the brightest. Oh, there's 1200. Yeah, about 1200 in the center of the brightest section, and then it drops off pretty quickly around the edges. It's a very, very direct point beam of light. So right in the middle there, looks like that's actually 1300. Now I'm gonna compare that to the Wolf King GT Pro. All right, so I've got the headlight on high for the Wolf King GT Pro. 1 foot away is about right at that crack there. And this is reading, at the brightest point, it's reading 1460. So in the direct line of fire, the RoadRunner Pro headlight is about as bright as the GT Pro. But as I hold the lux meter to the edges of the beam on the GT Pro, it doesn't go down quite as far. So the GT Pro has a wider spread, but it's just about as bright in the center. It's just about as bright as the RoadRunner Pro. And I've never done this before, but we are going to test the Firelight, which is the headlight that I sell for scooters. I actually might end up throwing a couple on the RoadRunner Pro, just have the extra security at night. Let's see how bright this thing is at 12 inches. This has a much wider spread. This is more of a flood. At 12 inches, the Firelight reads around 1000 at 12 inches, and then towards the edges, it stays around 200. So a much wider spread on the Firelight, but not quite as bright as the GT Pro or the RoadRunner Pro in the center of the beam. Interesting. These handlebars are pretty wide. How wide are these? These are 790 millimeters wide. These are like on the bigger side of handlebars. These probably won't fit through a standard doorway unless you turn the bars. I like that, extra stability. The seat here is 20 inches long, usable butt space, 5 inches wide. Entire seat width is 8 inches wide. Looks like we got about 3 inches of cushion.
At the time of this video recording, I'm 225 pounds and I've got about 125 miles on the bike, and I can say after about 20 minutes my butt really starts to hurt, so I'm already looking for upgraded seat options.
So foot pegs, I guess I should have measured these before. They are about 4.5 inches long and 2 inches wide. And the tires, you can see the grip on the tires. I really like the grip, it's pretty nice. Pretty much a perfect water wicking hybrid design. Yep, they're about 14 inches. And they are in fact 2.75 inches wide. So 14 by 2.75 on the tires there. The battery's about 17, maybe 17.5 inches long. Looks like 7.5 inches tall, or maybe 7, if you're not including this little shroud cover piece. And coming in from the very back, it's looking like 4 inches wide. Now ground to handlebar clearance when the bike is upright looks like 40 inches when the bike is standing upright. So that's ground to the bottom of the handlebars. About 40 inches, maybe 39.5. And these are the brake rotors. This is the brake caliper, it's aluminum red there. Okay, so this is the actual brake rotor, the piece that you stop with. Coming over the middle, yep, they're about 180 millimeters wide this way. And for the record, they're 1 millimeter wide. All right, everybody. Before I go, I will tell you I do have a discount code for this bad boy. If you're checking out on the Voro Motors website and you put Ginger on wheels in the coupon code, you'll get 50 bucks off, and that does kick back to the channel. I really appreciate it if you use that code if you're gonna buy one. I hope you enjoyed my walk around and unboxing of the eMove RoadRunner Pro. I'm really excited to ride this thing around, top speed, off-road, whatever ride videos I can do. So subscribe to the channel if you're looking forward to those as much as I am. And like the video if you learned anything. If you've got any other questions, put them down in the comments below and I will be as active as I can answering as many questions as I can. And again, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you guys for the next video.